Welcome to The Quest for Glory, a podcast where we take a deep dive into my many video game hot takes. I'm your host, Kat White. In this first entry into this podcast, I wanted to talk about Fallout, my all-time favorite game series that I've ever played. Specifically Fallout 4, and how it isn't the worst, but it isn't the best game in the Fallout series. I will give a brief synopsis of what Fallout is. This is ripped straight from the fandom wiki. So Fallout is an award-winning series of post-apocalyptic computer role-playing games by Interplay Entertainment and Bethesda Softworks, set in a world where utopian, retro-futuristic Americana and Art Deco meet the harsh reality of a global thermonuclear war. There are currently 8 entries into the Fallout universe. It originally started off with Fallout and Fallout 2. These come from Interplay before they sold off the IP to Bethesda, which then came out with Fallout 3, New Vegas, Shelter, 4, 76, and then in tandem with Amazon Prime, Fallout the show. I have played every single one of these games, and I have written essays about almost every single one of them. So if that doesn't establish my credibility, I don't know what will. But essentially what I'm saying is I'm a huge nerd, and my teachers listen to me about it. So I wrote an essay, literally wrote an essay about this back in my senior year of high school when I was in my English comp class, where I was basically critiquing an article called which was called Fallout 4 has aged beautifully, you should play it again, by a guy that writes for the Washington Post. His last name's Stedham. Billy Stedham, who is a writer for the Washington Post. So, basically he states that Fallout 4 is a good game and that you should play it again because of its good graphics, combat system, and crafting system. He had played it early 2022 and hadn't revisited the game prior to 2022 for several years. His main argument in his article was 2015's Fallout 4 might be the best game in the franchise, and even one of the best open-world role-playing games ever made. I very much disagree that it's the best open-world RPG. That would actually go to 76, or that would go to New Vegas, not 76, in my opinion. He argued that the combat system in this game compared to the other games was just a lot more dynamic and responsive. And keep in mind, Fallout 4 is a first-person shooter game. But he said that he actually liked VATS in this game. Any Fallout fan would know how VATS has changed throughout the years. I'm going to talk about specifically the Bethesda games, because those ones are the ones that I'm most familiar with, the ones I replay the most. So, basically, VATS is the Vault-Tec assisted targeting system. Basically, it lets you press, if you're playing on keyboard, you press V, and it goes, and and I'll actually insert the noise in a second. Basically, it lets you target specific body points on your enemy that you're killing or you're trying to kill. In 3 and New Vegas, basically the person in front of you freezes. The thing you're killing you're trying to kill freezes in front of you, making it 10 times easier to try and get a stupid freaking critical shot on your enemy. However, in Fallout 4 and consequently 76, they move. Slow motion, but they still move. Do you know how annoying that is? So I'm trying to get a shot, and the stupid freaking super mutant goes behind a wall, and now I'm screwed until they come out back up again, and then I've just wasted all of my VATS points. Like, what? Anyways, he says, it was tempting to use VATS, but then he specified he could enjoy combat without it. I very much agree with this guy here when it comes to that, because, VATS is stupid. VATS is so stupid in Fallout 4. Not saying, but combat was very much overhauled in 4, so you didn't have to rely on, like, the whole VATS system, which was nice. You have more guns with more, like, options that you can put on the gun, and, like, we could put different sights, silencers, all that kind of stuff. I'm not a gun person. And you got a lot more, you got a lot more of the melee weapons as well. Then they're a lot more fun. You could, instead of bashing people with, like, a golf club or something like that, you could bash them in with a ski pole. Bash their heads in with a ski pole now, which was very fun. And the enemies were based off of, in previous games, enemies were based off of the area where they were spawning in. Like, their level was based off of where they were spawning in. Instead, now enemies were based off of your skill level, which makes, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. It just makes, the enemies are a little bit more on par to you, instead of, in New Vegas, you walk into the quarry and then you're just fucking hounded by 25 different goddamn Deathclaws. Real experience. I saved there on accident and I couldn't get my other saves back. So, Anyways, and his next point was that the crafting system, the game, it brand new. Crafting system was brand new to Fallout 4. There had never been a crafting system like it before in any of the other games. Brand new. He said it was a good thing. Everything had a purpose now. Means instead of just picking up random junk, the random junk has a purpose now. Which, yeah, that's great. However, I could just go little squiggly line God mode, and then I don't need a use for any of this stuff when I was building. I'm not afraid to say it. I cheat in games. I cheat. After I finish my first playthrough, I cheat. I don't care. Because it makes the game more fun. Because what if I just want to build in my settlement, alright? What if I don't want to do all these quests about it? Leave me alone. He basically said that, you could make missile turrets or gun mods, things that the past games of the Fallout franchise have not had. Alright, I get it. But this also means with the crafting system that there were a whole lot more drugs in the games than there were in prior games. Now you have supercharged jet, which gets you really fucked up. That kind of stuff. The last point that he made was the game's graphics. He said Fallout 4 is just a plainly beautiful game. This I actually do agree on. The graphics for its time, specifically, were actually pretty decent. Like I said, Fallout 4 came out in 2015. This was a brand new engine that Bethesda had developed. And, it looked good. The scenery looked good. Genuinely beautiful. I could play that game without any, beautification mods and be perfectly fine with all the screenshots that I take with my silly-looking character. However, but the characters looked like actual doo-doo. I hated how they looked. I hated how the hair looked like straw. which is common with the Bethesda games. Look at any of the Elder Scroll games. The hair looked like straw, the faces were weird, and what do you mean those are my only makeup choices? But I would much rather take a pretty looking game over a pretty looking character, especially since I mainly play the game in third person. However, in the dialogue option, instead of just looking at the guy, the person that you're talking to in the game, now it's like this panoramic shot of you and the thing you're talking to. So now I have to actually see my character's ugly mug, and I cry a little bit every time I look at it, alright? So my biggest hot take for this game is that I actually hated the plot. Those were my 3 hot takes. My 3 normal hot takes. Many people would agree with me on these. But the plot in this game, I both hate it and I love it. So the basic synopsis of the plot of the game is that you are a pre-war human being who gets frozen in time with your wife and your child, or your husband and child, depending on what gender of the character you're playing. And these guys from the Institute come in and shoot your partner and take your baby, Sean. And basically, the entire point of the game is to go find your child, Sean. You think it's been only a couple of years, but really it's been over 200 years. The basic find something plot that Fallout is known for. And with this plot comes 4 factions. There's the Brotherhood of Steel, the Institute, the Railroad, and the Commonwealth Minutemen. We're just gonna call them the Minutemen. 3 out of the 4 of these are really cool. What do you mean there's another game that the Brotherhood of Steel are an option? In every single game, other than New Vegas, that Bethesda has released, the Brotherhood of Steel have been there. And I get they're the biggest and most influential faction outside of the Enclave. But still, can we not think of another faction? I don't want to see them in everything that I am playing and watching, because they are one of the main characters in the new show is from the Brotherhood of Steel. Although that is a weird chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel, and I don't want to know what is going on there. But still, they have been in as main factions, not like a side faction, as main factions. Once in Fallout 3, and that's pretty much the only side you can take. They're a very small faction in New Vegas. You can choose to kill them off, which is good. I hated the guys in New Vegas. They are once in Fallout 4, and then twice. There's 2 different factions that you can join in 76. The old and the new. The old and the new Brotherhood of Steel. Can Bethesda think of anything? I know there's the people that are glazers for the Brotherhood of Steel, but honestly, I don't want to see these tech hoarding, racist motherfuckers towards anyone that is not human anymore. I don't want to see them. They are genuinely so annoying in their stupid power armor and everything like that. I'd rather have the Enclave in another game. And that's saying something because they are in 2 separate games. Alright? So, yeah. Those are my feelings about the Brotherhood of Steel. Back to the plot. Basically there's the Brotherhood of Steel. I already explained them. Then there's the Institute. These guys live underground in underneath MIT, and they steal people, and they make these things called synths, which are humanoid-looking, almost humanoid-looking robots. They're almost human robots. Some of them know that they're human, that they're synths, and some of them don't. Then there's the Railroad. They try and save synths from what they call slavery from the Institute. And they have this really cool bald guy that changes how he looks like every other time you see him. He's pretty great too. And then there's the Minutemen. They're kind of there. You're kind of forced to become a Minuteman the second you join the game and you go on any quest, because you have to save these guys from Concord because they're getting attacked by raiders, and there's that. I'm okay with it. You could go. They have the most quests out of literally anyone in Fallout 4, which that's fine. But every time I hear Preston Garvey come up, another settlement needs your help, I think I want to rip my ears out. You're constantly doing quests for them, which is not a bad thing. Extra caps and all that, and experience. But sometimes I just want to blow stuff up. And I have played every single playthrough in each of these factions. You get to do that with everyone except for a Minuteman. I mean, you can, but Preston Garvey looks at you really sad if you do. So, there's that. And also the whole point, spoilers, by the way, don't listen past this point if you don't want spoilers, but really this game has been out for 10 years now. Finding out that Sean is actually the leader of the Institute, and and then he dies, and then you become the leader of the Institute, there's that. I guess it was okay, but that's not the kind of, and I want to have my baby and have my little family with my companion, I didn't want my son to die of cancer, and he's older than me, So, it's certainly not the worst game, but it certainly is not the best game. It has its good parts. The graphics are gorgeous, except for when you're looking at characters. And really, you could tell that they took a lot of time into the quest, but there's also little to no creativity in some of these factions. Brotherhood of Steel looking at you. So, there's that. Overall, if I were to rate this game from 0 to 5 stars, I'd give it a solid 4.2. I will be playing it again because there are many, many mods based off of this game. This game's engine, like Fallout London. Somebody's trying to remake New Vegas on there. So it and there's so many more mods based off of that. It's definitely worth the play if and it is a very good intro into the Fallout series if you've never ever played a Fallout game and you want to watch a Fallout show, which I wrote another essay about this, which I can link, I guess, in the description of this podcast. So, yeah, solid 4.2 out of 5 stars. Very good intro game. Explains a lot of the lore in the beginning, cut sequence of the game. Makes sense. It explains why we're at where we're at. But really, can we get another West Coast game, Bethesda? I'm sick of the East Coast. Can we play in New Vegas again? That'd be cool. I'd like to see New Vegas after the Courier. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to the first episode of The Quest for Glory. Like I said, I'm Kat White, your host, and I'll see you, or hear you, in the next episode. Bye-bye.